Welcome back to the ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the explosive drama unfolding on Wednesday, October 22nd, where family secrets, legal battles, and heated confrontations promise to shake Port Charles to its core. In the opulent halls of the Quartermaine mansion, tensions between Portia Robinson and Jordan Ashford reach a boiling point as Portia's hidden pregnancy becomes the unspoken elephant in the room. Jordan, ever the determined commissioner, corners Portia with probing questions about her recent health concerns and erratic behavior, suspecting there's more to the story than meets the eye. Portia, protective of her fragile family dynamic amid her crumbling marriage to Curtis Ashford, swiftly shuts down the inquiry with a fierce glare and a cutting remark, insisting that Jordan's meddling could unravel everything she's worked to keep under wraps. As Portia storms out, her heels echoing through the grand foyer, Jordan is left fuming, her sense of justice clashing with the boundaries of personal privacy. Later that afternoon, Jordan seeks solace and advice from Anna Devane, the seasoned spy turned ally, venting about Portia's blatant deception toward Curtis, who remains blissfully unaware of the potential life-changing revelation. Anna, drawing from her own experiences with tangled loyalties and hidden truths, cautions Jordan to tread lightly, suggesting that forcing the issue now might do more harm than good to all involved parties. She reminds Jordan of the delicate balance in Port Charles's interconnected lives, where one revelation could trigger a domino effect of heartbreak and betrayal. Meanwhile, Portia, still reeling from the encounter, confides in Isaiah Gannon, the compassionate doctor whose quiet strength has become a rare anchor in her stormy world. Over a tense conversation in the hospital corridors, Portia unleashes her frustrations about Jordan's nosiness, painting her as an overzealous intruder who doesn't understand the stakes. In a vulnerable moment, Portia teeters on the edge of full disclosure, her hand instinctively resting on her abdomen as she hints at the overwhelming fear of how this pregnancy might salvage or shatter her bond with Curtis. Isaiah listens intently, his empathetic gaze offering the validation Portia craves, and their exchange blossoms into a deeper connection, marked by subtle touches and shared glances that hint at an emerging emotional alliance, one that could complicate matters further as Portia's life hangs in the balance. Shifting focus to the broader family fallout, Kai Taylor grapples with a wave of remorse that propels him toward Curtis Ashford for a heartfelt apology. The recent announcement of Curtis and Portia's divorce to their daughter Trina Robinson has left scars, and Kai, reflecting on his unwitting involvement during the period when Drew Kane was manipulating events, feels a personal responsibility for the rift. He approaches Curtis at the Floating Rib, the dimly lit bar buzzing with the usual Port Charles chatter, and expresses genuine regret for any actions that may have fueled the marital discord, emphasizing his desire to make amends without expecting forgiveness in return. Curtis, ever the resilient club owner, acknowledges the gesture with a nod, though his eyes betray the lingering pain of betrayal and uncertainty about his future. Across town, Trina Robinson, the artistic soul caught in her parents' turmoil, harbors a quiet hope that some miracle could mend the fractures in her family unit. As she sketches in her studio, lost in thoughts of happier times, Trina daydreams about interventions that might reignite the spark between Curtis and Portia, perhaps a candid conversation or an unexpected gesture of reconciliation. The wild card in this equation is Portia's pregnancy, a secret bundle of joy that could either unite the couple in renewed purpose or drive an irreparable wedge if paternity proves to be a point of contention. If Curtis turns out to be the father, it might symbolize a fresh start, pulling them back from the brink with the promise of co-parenting and rediscovered love. However, whispers of doubt linger, suggesting external influences that could test loyalties in profound ways. Trina's wishful thinking underscores the emotional toll on the younger generation, as she navigates her own budding romance with Kai while yearning for stability at home, a poignant reminder of how soap opera legacies intertwine across generations. Meanwhile, in the high-stakes world of legal maneuvering, Drew Kane turns to Alexis Davis with an urgent plea as Willow Tate faces mounting challenges in her custody battle. Willow, the resilient nurse whose life has been upended by recent scandals, has been denied bail, leaving her isolated and desperate for a skilled advocate to champion her cause. Drew, motivated by his deep ties to the Quartermaine family and a sense of paternal duty toward Scout Quartermaine, corners Alexis in her law office, the room filled with stacks of case files and the faint scent of aged books. He lays out his proposition with calculated precision, highlighting Willow's vulnerabilities and the ticking clock of court deadlines, before dropping the bombshell. This is his absolute final offer, one designed to sway even the most principled attorney. To sweeten the deal, Drew proposes lifting the contentious restraining orders that have barred Scout from her extended family, allowing precious visits that could heal emotional wounds on both sides. Yet, in true hard-nosed fashion, he might demand an ironclad commitment from Alexis to secure a victory, transforming the negotiation into a high-wire act of trust and ambition. Alexis, torn between her ethical compass and the allure of a high-profile win, contemplates the ramifications, knowing that representing Willow could expose cracks in the Davis family armor while potentially redeeming her professional standing. This offer, echoing The Godfather's irresistible propositions, positions Drew as a strategic power player, willing to bend rules for what he believes is right, setting the stage for courtroom fireworks that could redefine alliances in Port Charles. Elsewhere, the debate over Willow's innocence intensifies as Lulu Spencer extends an olive branch amid the chaos. Lulu, the resourceful journalist with a history of championing underdogs, encounters Willow in a moment of quiet despair at the detention center and feels a surge of compassion for the woman ensnared in controversy. Inspired by her own past battles with the justice system, Lulu proposes leveraging her platform to craft a compelling narrative piece, one that humanizes Willow and sows seeds of doubt about her guilt, potentially swaying public opinion and pressuring authorities. She envisions a story rich with Willow's backstory, from her nurse's ball heroics to her unwavering devotion as a mother, aiming to peel back layers of misunderstanding and reveal the complexities of her situation. However, Lucas Jones, Willow's steadfast ex and a voice of reason, overhears the plan and vehemently objects, warning Lulu that aiding Willow might inadvertently free a truly culpable individual, endangering the community and undermining the pursuit of truth. Lucas, drawing from his medical expertise and personal entanglements, argues the risks of journalistic bias in a town rife with vendettas, urging Lulu to prioritize facts over sympathy. Their clash highlights the moral tightrope of loyalty versus justice, with Willow's fate hanging in the balance as differing perspectives collide, potentially fracturing friendships and amplifying the drama in unexpected directions. Finally, back at the Quartermaine mansion, the simmering rivalry between Tracy Quartermaine and Veronica Ronnie Bard erupts into a full-blown spectacle of sharp tongues and shattered decorum. What began as subtle barbs has escalated dramatically, with Ronnie's beverage mysteriously tampered, spiked with an unknown substance that amplifies her unfiltered disdain for Tracy's imperious ways. Ronnie, her cheeks flushed and words slurring slightly, unleashes a torrent of insults, accusing Tracy of being a meddlesome relic whose manipulations have poisoned generations of Quartermaine bloodlines. The air thickens with hostility as Tracy, never one to back down, rises to the challenge, gripping a nearby pitcher of iced tea with white-knuckled fury and threatening to drench Ronnie in a humiliating splash. Ronnie, eyes blazing with defiance, counters with a sharp, "Don't you dare," her voice a whipcrack that echoes through the chandelier-lit dining room, demanding Tracy's immediate exit from her domain. This showdown, fueled by old grudges and fresh provocations, promises scenes of unbridled chaos, perhaps a near-miss toss that sends glasses clattering or an intervention by a bemused family member, that will leave viewers on the edge of their seats. Next, in a stunning development that has left Port Charles reeling, Maxie Jones has finally opened her eyes after months in a coma, only to face a revelation that defies comprehension. The beloved daughter of Felicia Scorpio has awakened to discover she is 3 months pregnant, with absolutely no memory of the child's father or how this could have happened during her unconscious state. The unfolding crisis has sent shockwaves through the close-knit community, raising profound ethical questions and forcing those closest to Maxie to confront an unimaginable scenario that threatens to shatter lives and test the very bonds of family, love, and morality. The devastating awakening. When Maxie first regained consciousness at the specialized coma care facility in Boston, her initial joy at reuniting with her loved ones quickly dissolved into confusion and horror. Medical staff conducting routine examinations delivered the incomprehensible news. Despite having been in a vegetative state for months, Maxie was carrying a child well into her second trimester. The revelation sent her family into a state of shocked disbelief. How could this be possible? Maxie herself has no recollection of the circumstances surrounding her pregnancy, her last clear memories ending before she slipped into the coma that has defined these lost months. The medical impossibility of the situation has raised disturbing questions that no one wants to voice but everyone must confront. Damian Spinelli, who has devotedly maintained a vigil at Maxie's bedside throughout her ordeal, was among the first to learn the devastating news. The man who has cared for Maxie's children and held on to hope for her recovery now faces a crisis that challenges everything he thought he knew. DNA results eliminate the obvious. In an attempt to make sense of the impossible situation, medical personnel conducted DNA testing to determine paternity. The results only deepened the mystery and intensified the emotional turmoil. The tests conclusively ruled out Spinelli as the biological father, a finding that was both expected and heartbreaking for the man who has been Maxie's steadfast companion and co-parent. But the DNA analysis revealed something far more sinister. The child carries genetic markers linking it to the Faison bloodline, the notorious family that has brought so much darkness and tragedy to Port Charles. This discovery has sent investigators and family members scrambling for answers, with the most disturbing theory centering on Nathan West, Maxie's late husband who was killed years ago by his own father, the villainous Caesar Faison. Could Nathan somehow have been alive all this time? The recent return of a man claiming to be Nathan, seemingly risen from the dead with no memory of his past 7 years, has only compounded the mystery. If this truly is Nathan, could he have fathered Maxie's child before her coma, or worse, during her vulnerable unconscious state? The ethical implications are too horrific to fully contemplate. The Faison connection, a horrifying truth emerges. As investigators delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding Maxie's pregnancy, a chilling pattern began to emerge. Evidence suggests that before slipping into her coma, Maxie may have been abducted by remnants of Caesar Faison's criminal organization, the same network that has terrorized Port Charles for decades. Intelligence gathered from various sources points to a terrifying conclusion: Faison's organization, continuing the madman's twisted legacy even after his death, orchestrated a scheme to create a next generation to carry on his dark empire. The plan allegedly involved artificial insemination using frozen genetic material, potentially from either the deceased Caesar Faison himself or from Nathan during a period when he may have been held captive. The Five Poppies Resort, a property connected to various mysterious medical experiments, has emerged as a focal point of the investigation. This shadowy facility, already linked to other suspicious activities in Port Charles, may have served as the location where Maxie was held and subjected to this nightmarish procedure without her knowledge or consent. Dr. Liesl Albrecht, Faison's former accomplice and mother to both Britt Westbourne and Nathan West, has expressed horror at the possibility that her former lover's obsession with perpetuating his bloodline could have led to such a violation. The revelation has forced Liesl to confront the full extent of Faison's depravity and the lasting damage his legacy continues to inflict on the innocent. An impossible choice. Now fully conscious and faced with this incomprehensible reality, Maxie confronts the most agonizing decision of her life. The child growing inside her is completely innocent, a victim of circumstances beyond anyone's control. Yet that same child represents a continuation of the Faison legacy, a bloodline that has brought nothing but death, manipulation, and suffering to Port Charles. Maxie's family has gathered around her, each offering their perspectives while being careful not to pressure her in either direction. Felicia Scorpio, Maxie's mother, has watched her daughter overcome impossible odds before, surviving a childhood heart transplant, enduring the loss of Nathan, raising her children with strength and grace. Now she can only hold Maxie's hand and promise her unwavering support, whatever decision she makes. The medical and ethical complexities are staggering. Maxie must decide whether to continue the pregnancy and give birth to a child conceived without her consent, or to terminate and prevent any possibility of Faison's twisted legacy continuing through another generation. Both choices carry profound consequences that will reverberate through her life and the lives of everyone she loves. Dr. Terry Randolph and other medical professionals at General Hospital have provided Maxie with comprehensive counseling, ensuring she understands all her options and the medical, psychological, and emotional implications of each path forward. Support groups for assault survivors and reproductive rights advocates have also reached out, offering resources for someone facing such an unimaginable situation. A battle for the future. Adding yet another layer of complexity to this already unbearable situation, both Spinelli and the man claiming to be Nathan have declared their willingness to raise the child, regardless of the circumstances of its conception. Their offers, while born from love and compassion, have created an emotional battlefield that threatens to tear apart the fragile bonds holding Maxie's world together. Spinelli, who has been a devoted father figure to Maxie's son James and her daughter Georgie, argues that he has already proven his commitment to Maxie and her children. He loves this family unconditionally and is prepared to welcome another child, seeing the innocent life rather than the dark circumstances of conception. His steadfast devotion has moved many in Port Charles, demonstrating the power of chosen family and unconditional love. The returned Nathan, still struggling with memory gaps and his own mysterious past, insists that if the child carries Faison blood, it deserves a father who understands that burden and can guide it away from that darkness. As someone who spent his entire adult life fighting against his father's evil legacy, Nathan believes he is uniquely qualified to ensure this child never follows in Faison's footsteps. His determination, while admirable, raises questions about his true identity and motivations that have yet to be answered. The potential custody battle looms like a dark cloud over an already tragic situation. Legal experts have weighed in on the unprecedented nature of the case, a child conceived without the mother's knowledge or consent, with paternity linked to a deceased criminal mastermind, and 2 men claiming parental rights based on their relationships with the mother rather than biological connection. Port Charles divided. The shocking revelation has divided the community of Port Charles, with residents taking sides and debating the ethical dimensions of Maxie's impossible situation. Some argue that the child, regardless of how it was conceived, deserves the chance at life and could be raised to reject the evil of its genetic heritage. Others contend that Maxie's bodily autonomy and right to choose must be paramount, especially given the traumatic violation she has endured. At Kelly's Diner, the Quartermaine Mansion, and throughout General Hospital's corridors, the debate rages. Some of Maxie's closest friends have shared their own experiences with difficult pregnancies, unexpected parenthood, and the complex emotions surrounding reproductive choices, offering solidarity without judgment. Meanwhile, the investigation into Faison's organization continues. Anna Devane, the former WSB agent who has battled Faison for decades, has thrown herself into uncovering the full scope of this plot. If Faison's network has the capability and willingness to do this to Maxie, how many other women might be at risk? The possibility of additional victims has law enforcement agencies on high alert and has sparked calls for greater oversight of fertility clinics and medical facilities. Robert Scorpio, Maxie's uncle and another longtime Faison adversary, has vowed to dismantle whatever remains of the villain's organization. The discovery that Faison's evil persists even years after his death has reignited old wounds and renewed determination to finally eradicate his influence from Port Charles forever. The broader implications. This storyline has sparked conversations extending far beyond the fictional boundaries of Port Charles. Reproductive rights advocates, medical ethicists, and trauma counselors have all weighed in on the complex issues raised by Maxie's situation. The scenario, while extreme, touches on real-world concerns about bodily autonomy, consent, assisted reproduction, and the rights of assault survivors. The use of cryopreserved genetic material raises questions about consent, storage, and the potential for misuse of fertility technologies. While regulations exist to prevent such scenarios, the storyline highlights the importance of stringent oversight and ethical guidelines in reproductive medicine. Medical professionals have used the fictional case as a teaching moment, discussing the sacred trust between patients and providers and the critical importance of informed consent at every stage of fertility treatment. Additionally, the custody debate between Spinelli and Nathan reflects broader societal conversations about what defines parenthood, biology versus social bonding, genetic connection versus day-to-day care, and the rights of non-biological parents who have nevertheless filled parental roles. Nathan's true identity remains uncertain. Complicating matters further, serious questions persist about whether the man who claims to be Nathan West is truly who he says he is. His unexplained 7-year absence, his remarkably healthy appearance despite allegedly being comatose for years, and Britt Westbourne's notably cautious reaction to his return have all raised red flags. Some Port Charles residents have theorized that this could be an imposter, perhaps Peter August, Nathan's villainous half-brother, or even a clone created by Faison's organization as part of their twisted experiments. The DNA match to Faison's bloodline could be explained by these alternatives, adding yet another layer of uncertainty to an already impossible situation. Britt, Nathan's half-sister who herself recently returned from faking her own death to escape Faison's legacy, has been conspicuously protective of her nephew James, showing reluctance to allow the supposed Nathan unrestricted access to the child. Her behavior suggests she may know something about Nathan's true identity that she has not yet revealed, possibly to protect her family from another of Faison's machinations. A community holds its breath. As Maxie weighs her options, surrounded by loved ones but ultimately alone with her decision, Port Charles waits. The outcome of her choice will ripple through the community for years to come, affecting not just Maxie and her immediate family, but the broader struggle against Faison's enduring legacy. Whatever Maxie decides, those who love her have pledged their unconditional support. Felicia has made clear that she will stand by her daughter, while Max Scorpio has promised that the resources of the PCPD will be dedicated to uncovering the full truth about what happened to Maxie and ensuring those responsible face justice. The medical staff at General Hospital has assured Maxie that she will receive the best possible care, regardless of her decision. Counseling services have been made available to help her process the trauma of what has happened and navigate the emotional aftermath of whatever path she chooses.